Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we are diving deep into the heart of Vietnamese mythology to uncover one of its most epic and enduring tales. The legend of Sun Tin and Tu Tin, the mountain god and the water god. This isn't just a story about a rivalry, it's a foundational myth that explains the annual monsoon season in Vietnam and celebrates the resilience of its people. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's journey back in time to the era of the Hung Kings. Our story begins long, long ago, during the reign of the 18th Hung King. The king had a daughter of extraordinary beauty named Mai Nguyen. Her loveliness was said to be unmatched in all the land, and her father, the king, adored her completely as she came of age. The king knew he had to find a husband who was not only of noble character, but also possessed great talent. Someone truly worthy of his precious daughter. To find this perfect match, he decided to hold a grand contest, inviting the most exceptional young men from every corner of the kingdom to come and prove their worth. The capital city was soon bustling with hopeful suitors. For days on end, handsome and skilled young men paraded their talents before the king. There were archers who could shoot an arrow through the eye of a needle, poets whose words could make flowers bloom, and warriors of incredible strength. Yet, despite the impressive displays, none of them truly captured the king's heart or met his high standards. The king began to feel a sense of disappointment, worrying that no one would ever be good enough for Princess Mai Nguyen, just as the king's hope was starting to fade. Two truly remarkable figures arrived at the palace at the very same moment, both seeking the princess's hand in marriage. Their presence alone was enough to silence the entire court. One was Sun Tin, who hailed from the majestic Ba Vai Mountains. He had a noble and handsome appearance, but it was his extraordinary power that set him apart. With a simple gesture to the east, he could transform barren land into lush green rice paddies. With a point to the west, he could raise towering mountains from the flat earth. The people of his domain revered him, calling him the Lord of the Mountains. The other suitor was no less impressive. He was Tu Tin, and he came from the vast and mysterious Eastern Sea. He possessed an equally formidable power, with the ability to summon mighty winds and command torrential rains with a mere thought. He was the master of the oceans and rivers, and the people knew him as the Lord of the Waters. Here stood two demigods, one ruling the highlands, the other commanding the deep seas. Both were powerful, both were noble, and both were equally worthy of marrying the beautiful princess Mai Nguyen. The Hung King found himself in a difficult position. He was deeply impressed by both Sun Tin and Tu Tin. How could he possibly choose between them? He consulted his most trusted advisors and ministers, but the court was as divided as he was. After much deliberation, no one could offer a clear solution. The king knew he had to make a decision, but he wanted it to be a fair one, a test of will and swiftness, rather than just of power. Finally, he stood before the two suitors and announced his decision. "You both please me greatly," the king declared, his voice echoing through the grand hall. "But I have only one daughter. Therefore, the one who proves his devotion first shall win her hand. Tomorrow morning, whoever is the first to bring me the traditional wedding gifts will marry my daughter." He then listed the specific and rather challenging bridal price: 100 trays of sticky rice, 200 square rice cakes, known as banchung, 9 elephants with tusks of pure ivory, 9 roosters with impressive spurs, and finally 9 magnificent horses with fiery red manes. It was a race against time. As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon the next day, the palace gates opened to a surprising sight. Sun Tin, the Lord of the Mountains, stood there, calm and ready. Behind him was a grand procession carrying every single item the king had demanded. He had used his command over the land and its creatures to gather the rare gifts with incredible speed. The king was overjoyed. True to his word, he gave his blessing, and Sun Tin was allowed to take Princess Mai Nuang back to his mountain home as his beloved wife. Their procession joyfully began the journey back to the Bavai Mountains. Not long after they had departed, Tu Tin arrived. He too had all the required gifts, but he was just a moment too late. When he learned that Sun Tin had already won and was taking the princess away, his heart filled with a furious, jealous rage. He had been so close. He refused to accept defeat. Consumed by anger, Tu Tin swore he would get Mai Nuang back, no matter the cost. He immediately unleashed his awesome power, summoning his formidable army of water spirits and beasts from the deep. A terrifying chase began. Tu Tin, the Lord of the Waters, called forth dark storm clouds that blotted out the sun. He commanded furious gales and unleashed torrential downpours. The rivers began to swell, overflowing their banks and crashing onto the land. A great flood surged across the plains, swallowing fields, villages, and homes in its path. The water rose higher and higher, a relentless aquatic assault aimed at Sun Tin and the Princess Book. The world was turning into a chaotic, raging sea. But Sun Tin, the Lord of the Mountains, was not afraid. He met the challenge with calm and immense strength. As the floodwaters rose, he used his own magic to counteract Tu Tin's assault. He raised the hills higher. He lifted entire mountains to create an impenetrable barrier against the deluge. The battle was a spectacular clash of elemental forces. For every foot the water rose, Sun Tin raised the mountains a foot higher. The people watched in terror and awe as the very landscape was reshaped before their eyes. The epic battle between the mountain god and the water god raged for months on end. Tu Tin relentlessly threw everything he had at Sun Tin, creating massive waves and endless rain. But Sun Tin's resolve was unbreakable, and his power over the earth was just as strong. He and his mountain fortress stood firm, protecting the princess from the watery onslaught. Eventually, after a long and exhausting struggle, Tu Tin's strength began to wane. He had spent his energy, but he could not overcome the immovable mountains. Defeated and exhausted, he was forced to retreat. withdrawing his waters back to the sea, though he retreated to Tin's anger and resentment never faded. The loss of my Nuang became a bitter wound that would never heal, and so, fueled by this eternal grudge, he returns every single year, usually around the same time. Each year, Tin raises storms and floods, unleashing his fury upon the land in an attempt to defeat Sun Tin and reclaim what he believes is his. This annual event is what we know today as the monsoon season. But every single year, without fail, Sun Tin stands ready to defend his home and his people. He raises the mountains and strengthens the dikes, always pushing back the floods. And every single year, Tin is defeated and forced to retreat once again. This cyclical battle is a powerful symbol of the Vietnamese people's unyielding spirit in their struggle against natural disasters. For his role as a protector and his unwavering strength, Sun Tin was honored by the people and is revered as one of the 4 immortals, the 4 most powerful and benevolent deities in the Vietnamese pantheon. His story is a testament to resilience, strength, and the enduring power of the land. And that is the epic legend of Sun Tin and Tin. It's a fantastic story that beautifully weaves together myth, nature, and culture. What do you think of this incredible tale? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into Vietnamese mythology, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more stories from around the world. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.